fees and the general cost of living. So naturally, many people will wonder if government has reduced the publishers' cost, will the savings eventually reflect in the prices that they pay? And in theory, reducing production and regulatory costs should make books more affordable. But in reality, textbook prices are influenced by many other factors. You know, there's printing cost, there's paper prices, there's transportation, there's exchange rates, there's inflation. So while this move is definitely positive, it may not automatically lead to cheaper textbooks unless those other economic pressures are also addressed. However, even if prices don't fall immediately, increasing competition among publishers, it could encourage better pricing and better quality over time. And I think that's the long-term opportunity here. But ultimately, education is one of the strongest investments that any country can make. And if reducing these fees means more quality textbooks will reach Nigerian classrooms, I think that's a win. And also, I think affordability must go hand in hand with transparency and with quality assurance, because producing more textbooks isn't the goal. Producing better textbooks that genuinely improve learning outcomes is what really matters. And let's move on to our second developing story. This one is quite interesting. Reps step down bill to ban unbranded, unfortified edible oils. Now, the House of Representatives has stepped down a bill seeking to ban the production, importation, distribution, and sale of unbranded and unfortified edible oils in Nigeria. The bill sponsor, Chike Okafor, said the proposed law was intended to protect Nigerians from health risks linked to substandard edible oils, strengthen food fortification, and improve local oil production. However, lawmakers argued that existing agencies such as NAFDAC and the Standards Organization of Nigeria already have the authority to regulate food quality, while some expressed concern that the bill could negatively affect small-scale palm oil producers. The House subsequently steps down the bill for further consideration. Now, this is an interesting debate because it's one of those issues where everyone agrees on the goal, but not necessarily on the solution. Nobody wants unsafe food on their table. Nobody wants to consume cooking oil that could pose health risks. But at the same time, we also have to think about the thousands of small-scale producers whose livelihoods depend on producing and selling palm oil and other edible oils. So the House stepping down the bill, it raises an important question. Do we really need another law, or do we simply need existing laws to be enforced better? Now, personally, I think this is where many Nigerians become skeptical. We already have agencies like NAFDAC and the Standards Organization of Nigeria, and their primary responsibility is to ensure food products meet safety standards. So if it's unsafe or unfortified, edible oils are already finding their way into markets. Is the problem really a lack of legislation, or is it an enforcement issue? Because sometimes we pass new laws when the real challenge is implementing the ones that we already have. Now, if regulators have enough powers on paper but lack the adequate funding, the manpower, or consistent market inspections, another law may not necessarily solve the problem. Perhaps what Nigeria wants is to see stronger enforcement rather than more legislation. And now when we talk about protecting consumers without hurting small businesses, it becomes more complicated because many local palm oil producers, they operate on a small scale. Some are family businesses that have existed for generations. So if government suddenly introduces very strict compliance requirements without providing support, these businesses may struggle to survive. Now, at the same time, consumers deserve safe products, right? So nobody should have to worry about whether the cooking oil they buy could affect their health. So maybe the answer isn't punishment alone. Government could provide training for small producers. They could improve access to affordable packaging and fortification technology, and they could also make certification easier and less expensive. That way, producers are encouraged to meet standards rather than pushed out of business. And now, this conversation isn't just about health, it's also about economic growth. Nigeria has Nigeria, has enormous potential in palm oil production. And if these local producers they consistently meet recognized quality standards, they will become more competitive, and not only in Nigeria but also in international markets. So these higher standards can actually create more opportunities. Consumers can gain confidence, business would expand, and export opportunities will increase. But achieving that, it requires a form of collaboration. Government, regulators, industry, manufacturers, consumers, everybody has a role to play, because food safety isn't only about catching bad products. It's also about creating a system where quality becomes the norm. Because at the end of the day, every Nigerian wants safe, affordable food. The challenge is finding the balance between protecting public health and supporting local businesses that contribute to the economy. So whether it's through a new law or stronger enforcement of existing regulations, the ultimate goal should remain the same, which is ensuring that the food Nigerians consume is safe, is nutritious, and is produced under the standards that everyone can trust. Now, we go to our third developing story, and this one is Senate calls for licensed miners audit, seeks compensation scheme for mining workers. Now, the Senate has urged the federal government through the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development to carry out a comprehensive audit of all licensed miners and their areas of operation to improve monitoring and regulation of mining activities. Lawmakers also called for the establishment of a statutory compensation scheme for mining workers funded by mandatory contributions from licensed operators. The scheme would provide compensation for injuries, disabilities, occupational diseases, and deaths resulting from mining activities. The resolution followed concerns over frequent mining accidents and unsafe practices across the country. The Senate also urged the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, and the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development to develop a compulsory occupational accident insurance scheme for all categories of miners, including artisanal and small-scale operators. This is interesting because when we talk about Nigeria's economy, conversations often revolve around oil and gas. But one sector that quietly holds enormous potential is mining, from gold and lithium to tin to limestone. Nigeria is richly blessed with these mineral resources, and the challenge has never been the availability of these resources. It's actually been how the sector is managed. So the Senate called for a comprehensive audit of licensed miners and the introduction of a compensation and insurance scheme for mining workers is in many ways a recognition that while the industry is growing, worker safety and regulation have not kept pace. Now, an audit may sound like a routine administration exercise, but it could be much more significant than that. If carried out properly, it would help government answer some very basic but important questions, because who exactly is mining? Where are they operating? Are they complying with safety regulations? Are they paying the necessary royalties and taxes? And perhaps most importantly, are they operating in ways that protect both workers and host communities? Nigeria has struggled for years with illegal mining, with environmental degradation, with poor oversight, and there have been reports of abandoned mining sites. We've had unsafe excavation methods and tragic accidents that has claimed many lives. In many cases, when these accidents happen, families are often left without compensation and workers bear the consequences alone. That is why the proposed compensation and occupational insurance scheme deserves attention. Mining is one of the most hazardous industries anywhere in the world. Workers face the risks of injuries, they face risks of exposure to harmful substances, mine collapses, and long-term occupational diseases. And in many developed mining economies, companies are required to contribute to insurance and compensation funds that actually protect these workers and their families if the unexpected happens. And so introducing a similar system in Nigeria, it could be a major step towards improving welfare in the sector. because it actually sends a message that while mining contributes to economic growth, the lives and the well-being of those doing the work must also be protected. Now, of course, implementing such a scheme won't be without challenges. Government will need to ensure that these contributions they are managed properly, that these claims are processed transparently, and that companies actually comply with the regulations. Otherwise, the scheme could become another policy that looks good on paper but delivers little in practice. Another aspect is the inclusion of these small-scale miners, because thousands of Nigerians depend on artisanal mining for their livelihoods, yet many operate informally, often without adequate safety equipment, without training, without access to insurance. So if government is serious about providing standards, improving these standards and these laws and these rules across the industry, these miners, they cannot be left out of the conversation. Rather than simply regulating them from distance, there may be greater value in helping them formalize their operations, in providing safety education, in creating pathways for them to operate within the legal framework. That would improve accountability while also reducing illegal mining activities. Environmental responsibility is another issue that cannot be ignored. Mining can create jobs and generate revenue, but if it is poorly regulated, it can also destroy farmlands, it can pollute water resources, and it can also leave communities with long-term environmental damage. So stronger oversight should go beyond monitoring these production figures. It should also ensure that these mining companies, they rehabilitate their sites, they protect surrounding communities, and they operate sustainably. Ultimately, Nigeria's mining sector, it has the potential to become a major contributor to national development, especially as the world, increasingly demands critical minerals for clean energy and technology. But investors also look for countries with clear regulations. They want countries with strong institutions, that countries that have responsible industry practices. So if the audit improves transparency, if worker protection becomes a genuine priority, and if environmental standards are consistently enforced, Nigeria could build a mining industry that is not only profitable, but also safe, also sustainable, and globally competitive. Because at the end of the day, economic growth should never come at the expense of human lives. A thriving mining sector should create wealth, but it should also protect the workers whose labor makes that wealth possible. So we'll be watching to see how they take care of that. I'll move to our next developing story. This one is quite interesting. Presidency's attacks show Tinubu jittery over Makinde's ambition. This is from APM, the Allied People's Movement. Now, they say recent comments by the presidency against its presidential candidate, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, shows that President Bola Tinubu is concerned about Makinde's growing popularity ahead of the 2027 presidential election. The party was reacting to remarks by the president's special advisor on media and public communications, Daniel Bwala, who dismissed Makinde and the APM as insignificant to the 2027 race. APM described the comments as unfortunate, accusing the Tinubu administration of resorting to personal attacks instead of addressing issues affecting Nigerians. The party maintained that it would not engage in an exchange of insults, insisting its focus remains on national issues. It also expressed confidence that Makinde would emerge victorious in the 2027 presidential election. As the 2027 general election gradually comes into focus, one thing is already becoming obvious. Nigeria's political conversations, they're beginning much earlier than many people expected. And with that has come the familiar exchange of words between political parties, between key figures, and the latest comments, from the Allied People's Movement suggest that political rhetoric is beginning to dominate the conversation. Now, while disagreements are expected in any democracy, many Nigerians would argue that what they really want to hear isn't who is afraid of whom, but what each potential candidate intends to do differently if elected. the reality is that Nigerians are dealing with very real challenges. There's high inflation, there's unemployment, insecurity, the rising cost of living, concerns about economic stability. So for many voters like myself, these issues are likely to carry far more weight than political exchanges or public attacks. Governor Sheyi Makinde has over the years built a reputation that has earned him national attention beyond Oyo State. So whether or not he eventually becomes a major contender for the presidency remains to be seen, but his name increasingly features in conversations about Nigeria's political future. That alone suggests the political landscape may be more competitive than in previous election cycles. However, popularity alone does not guarantee electoral success. Presidential elections are often determined by a combination of national appeal, of party structure, coalition building, and perhaps more importantly, the confidence voters have in a candidate's ability to address the country's most pressing problems. As political activities continue to gather momentum, many Nigerians will likely be paying closer attention to policy proposals than political rhetoric. The expectation is that candidates and political parties will move beyond exchanging accusations and begin presenting practical solutions on the economy, security, education, healthcare, job creation. Ultimately, as 2027 approaches, the biggest question may not be who is attacking whom, but who is offering the most credible vision for Nigeria's future. And that is a conversation that many voters will be hoping to hear more of in the months ahead. That's what many voters will be focusing on. So as the election comes closer, we'll be bound to hear most of these things, hear most of these politicians going at each other. But we really don't want to be hearing that. I think we want to be hearing what they have in store for us. What's their plan for us? We move to the next story on our developing stories, and this is ICPC uncovers 908 ghost workers, police top lists. Wow, this is a very interesting one. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission says it has uncovered 908 ghost workers across several federal ministries, departments, and agencies, recovering about 942 million naira allegedly lost through a fraudulent payroll scheme. ICPC Chairman Musa Aliyu said the discovery followed a 2024 investigation into irregularities in pension payments, which uncovered widespread payroll manipulation involving fictitious names and the alleged diversion of public funds by some officials. The investigation covered at least 50 MDAs, with the Nigeria Police Force recording the highest number of suspected ghost workers. Other affected institutions include the Ministries of Works, Foreign Affairs, Defense, Power, Health, and the Office of the Head of the Civil Service, while investigations involving the Office of the Accountant General and the Ministry of Interior are ongoing. Well, the issue of ghost workers is one that has followed Nigeria's public service for decades. We didn't just start hearing about this. I think I've heard about this from when I was little till now. Growing up, it's always been an issue. Ghost workers in this sector, people putting people's names where they're not supposed to be, and government paying off a lot of people that are not supposed to be there. And every time this discovery is made, it raises the same question. How are fictitious names still finding their way onto government payrolls in 2026? This did not start today. So how are we in 2026 and this is still happening? In this era of digitization, we're still having people in payrolls that are not supposed to be there. Now, the ICPC's revelation that over 900 ghost workers were uncovered across several ministries, departments, and agencies is not just about the money recovered. Yes, recovering over 942 million naira is significant. But the bigger concern is what this says about the systems that are supposed to safeguard public funds. Government payrolls should be among the easiest areas to monitor. Every employee should have a verifiable identity, should have a designated role, and should have a legitimate salary. Yet, cases like this suggest there are still weaknesses in personnel management, in record keeping, and internal controls that can't be exploited. Now, perhaps even more concerning is that the alleged fraud cuts across multiple institutions. So it's not just one, it's like a lot of institutions. Every one of them don't have, control over these payrolls. When one agency has an issue, it may be seen as an isolated problem. But when several MDAs are affected, it points to a broader systemic challenge that requires more than just investigations. It requires a total reform. Technology has certainly improved payroll management over the years through systems like the Integration Personnel and Payroll Information System, the IPPIS. But technology alone is not enough if there is weak oversight or human manipulation. Digital platforms must be backed by regular audits, by independent verification exercises, by strict accountability mechanisms. Another important issue is consequences. Refunding funds is one thing, but Nigerians also want to know whether those responsible will face appropriate sanctions. Because without accountability, there is always the risk that similar schemes will simply reappear in another form. Now, at a time when government is seeking more revenue and asking citizens to make economic sacrifices, plugging leakages within the public sector becomes even more critical. Every naira lost to payroll fraud is money that could have gone into healthcare, it could have gone into education or infrastructure or security. Ultimately, this latest discovery serves as another reminder that transparency is not a one-time exercise. It requires constant monitoring. It requires stronger institutions. It requires a commitment to ensuring that public resources are used for the people that they intend to serve. So I'm hoping that the government, looks at this more critically. I'm hoping that more reforms are made, and this doesn't happen because we're in 2026. I mean, we shouldn't be having this kind of problems time and time and again, in this year. It's something that's supposed to be sorted a long time ago. So we're hoping that is corrected, as time goes by. We've had a very interesting session on the developing stories today. We've had a lot, of stories. We've seen what's happening, with these stories, and it's been very interesting. I'm hoping you enjoyed the segments, and up next we'll be having a front burner after the break, and we have a very, very interesting topic on the front burner today. We're talking about beyond the screen, real life in the age of social media. So you don't want to go anywhere. See you on the front burner.
Your brand deserves to be seen. On Helen 24/7, we put your business in front of a global audience, anytime, anywhere. From product highlights to full brand features, we help you connect with customers who matter, grow your reach, and boost your visibility. Reach millions across TV, digital, and social media platforms. For more information, you can send us an email or contact us via the numbers on your screen. Partner with Helen 24/7 today, where your brand meets opportunity.
Sachet water is a water package 500 millimeters in size, made of a non-biodegradable plastic material called polyethylene, which is the most common used type of plastic. Starting in 2017, more than 100 million tons of polyethylene resins are generated yearly, representing 34% of the whole global plastic market. Sachet water is popular in low-income countries, majorly in Africa and Asia, because the production doesn't need a large investment. Many people find it affordable, and it is often the source of water in the ceremonial parties like funerals, birthdays, or marriage celebrations. It is sold in various places in local shops, hawking on the streets, and mostly delivered by the producing company to homes on demand. However, the improper management of the empty sachet bags has been an environmental threat to human health and aquatic life because it's a plastic manufactured from non-biodegradable polyethylene, which hardly decays and remains in the soil for more than 100 years. Several startups as well as individuals have taken up the challenge of recycling these water sachets. Meet Olayemi Oluwabamigbe, an entrepreneur, recycler, and environmental enthusiast, the CEO of a startup company called Today's Recycling. He tells us how it all began.
Yeah, that's 2011 when the Lagos State government came about and said they are going to inflate the price of the sachet water waste, which is called the pure water nylon. So I came up and said, that is a fire brigade approach. It should be a long-term approach in tackling this waste, this environmental nuisance, causing a lot of environmental havoc, you know. So I now came up and said, all right, what can I do to ensure that I have to begin with. So I begin to do my investigation, ask a lot of people, go to companies, beg for entrances so I could see the machines they use in recycling and create a platform where all of these can be recycled. So when I saw those machines, I was asking of the price. They said they're about 30 million. I said, what? I said, I can't afford this. In the next, I don't know what the future will hold, but in the next years, but I have to start something. So I just have to come up and say, okay, let me do what I can with what I have in where I am. That's how I was getting myself engaged with things I can use because I'm trying to transform the environmental nuisance into a useful product. 2015, I now came up and said, all right, let me start bringing up this product out. Since I'm able to do the jackets, some jackets, I gave it some people. People said a lot of things. Some people worried that, okay, they love what I do. They want to encourage it during the rainy season, and it was okay. So I have to start putting I discovered it was fading off. You understand? That time. So I began to put all sorts of things to it to ensure that it could actually last.
Oluwabamigbe gathers discarded pure water sachets, which undergo several processes before it is then converted into other products. The water sachets are thoroughly washed, disinfected, and dried. The dried water sachets are then cut open and sewn together into long strips, and these long strips in turn are sewn together to produce yards and yards of base material entirely made up of water sachets. This forms the base for all of his handmade products.
These are the features that we put there because bike, you have to use it at night when it's rain. So we put in a reflector so that at night,
when cars are coming,
yes, cars, yeah, they can see.
Sugars are carbohydrates, which supply a source of energy in the diet. Sugars are added to a wide range of foods and are found naturally in some foods, such as fruits and dairy products. Processed sugars, on the other hand, come in a variety of forms, such as white, brown, raw sugar, honey, or corn syrup. While refined or processed sugar offers a rapid and easy energy source, however, it is devoid of nutrients including vitamins and minerals. Though sugar can be found in practically any dish, sugar is most frequently linked to candies, soft beverages, and baked goods. Sugars are widely used in the processed food industry, which adds more flavor, color, thickness, and volume to food items. They also have preservation properties and stop mold from growing. Now, because the food industry frequently adds sugar in places where people might not think to look, controlling sugar consumption is a major challenge. The consumption of sugar is now an important factor in public health due to its hazardous effects. A sugar-heavy diet is linked to an increased risk of heart disease, diabetes, poor dental health, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and obesity. Here is an additional breakdown. A daily sugar intake of no more than 11 grams, or approximately 5% of total calories, is the suggested limit for better health. According to the World Health Organization, it is advised that the amount of 25 grams of sugar intake should be strictly adhered to. The recommended amount is often substantially exceeded by many people. The global consumption of sugar amounted to about 176 million metric tons in 2022 to 2023 and is projected to increase to about 180.05 million metric tons by 2023 to 2024. According to historical data, Nigerians use 10.4 kilograms of sugar per person in 2015, the highest amount ever, and 0.800 kilogram in 1964, the lowest. Nigeria is placed 147th out of the 165 countries that it tracks. Why take added sugar with no health benefits when there are other substitutes? Here are few tips to reduce sugar.
Welcome to the Front Burner. Today we're looking at a very interesting topic. We're looking at beyond the screen, real life in the age of social media. Now take a moment and think about this. What's the first thing you reach for when you wake up? For many people, especially the Gen Zs, it's not a glass of water, it's not the morning news, not even a conversation with family, it's their phone. A quick scroll through TikTok, checking Instagram stories, replying to WhatsApp messages, watching the latest trend on X. For a generation that has grown up with smartphones, social media isn't just something they use, it's where much of life happens. Friendships begin online, businesses are built online, relationships start online, movements gain momentum online. But as our digital lives continue to expand, an important question emerges. Are we using social media to enhance our lives, or is it quietly redefining what real life looks like? Today on Front Burner, we're discussing beyond the screen, real life in the age of social media. Joining us on the show is Nobu Ogochukwu. He's a digital market specialist, a business consultant, a brand strategist, and founder of Revit Systems, dedicated to helping businesses grow through innovation, strategy, and technology. Hello, Mr. Wu. How are you doing? Welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you on the show today. I know we're going to have like really an interesting session, a really important session, and we can't wait to hear what you have for us today. But before we go on, we actually went on the streets of Abuja and we talked to some people on the streets about this topic, particularly Gen Zs, and want to hear what they had to say.
Personally, I can't spy the most about social media because social media gives us the platform to know what's happening around you and the country. The kind of country we are right now, it's very, very important for you to be up to date with information and everything. So I can't survive without social media. Social media replaces real life relationship. I would say social media can't replace real life relationship. I know social media gives us that companionship, that you feel like I have something that keeps me busy and all of that. But in real life relationship, social media can't replace real life relationship because it has to do with conversation, that how am I going to put it? That community with people physically. So that affection, I know social media shows affection online, but to the physical relationship with people. In as much as social media has brought people closer, it has also made them lonelier. Because you can be in a situation whereby you still be in a group of people and you still with your phone and all of that. So social media has brought people closer in some aspects and also made them lonelier in some aspects. So it's a two-way thing.
I don't think I can go a month without social media because social media keep people busy, company, and most of people love operating with social media, right? So that is all.
Okay.
Social media brought people closer because much people love being into social media because that is what keep people company and busy.
Now, Gen Z is generally defined as those born between the late 1990s and early 2010s. It's the first generation to grow up almost entirely in the digital age. According to global digital reports, young adults spend several hours every day on social media platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and X. These platforms are no longer simply entertainments, they're classrooms, they're newsrooms, shopping malls, their job boards, their dating spaces, their creative studios, and sometimes they're where people feel most understood. But they have also sparked conversations around loneliness, attention spans, mental health, cyberbullying, and digital dependence. So where exactly do we draw the line? We'll go to our first talking point. Gen Z, the first through digital generation. Now, for many young people today, the internet isn't separate from real life, it is real life. Birthday celebrations happen on Instagram, friendships are maintained through streaks, family updates arrive in WhatsApp groups, news breaks first on social media before television sometimes catches up. Now, digital identity has become almost as digital natives because they've never known fundamentally change what it means to socialize.
All right, so social media is already a vital or an essential digital spaces online. So you almost cannot, if I don't have data, what will I be doing? Or I mean, before now, we could say, oh, I can spend some part of my day either visiting a friend or play. Of course, we still play video games, but social media has almost replaced every part of our lives. I could spend my day taking a walk or going somewhere, or almost everything now has been replaced by that. So it's the digital world, yeah, that we live in now currently. Thank you.
Okay. So would you say, are you a Gen Z? Okay. So would you say Gen Zs are more connected than previous generations? Or are we just simply connected differently?
Okay, yeah, I would say Gen Zs are more connected than the previous generation, because there are a lot of things that because of how they grew up or because of the things that they grew up knowing. But it's as though many of them find it difficult to adapt to the changing world. Like almost a regular millennial doesn't really know how Snapchat works. Okay, so maybe if a Gen Z wants to hide something from you or lock you out entirely, you just put it on Snapchat. So you would not really know, or even TikTok. I mean, as basic as TikTok is, there are lots of people who don't know how to use TikTok. So it's more of a reality for Gen Zs than the people of older generations.
Yeah. So when we talk about friendships, I feel like more friendships have been formed online than that have been formed offline. Do you agree with that? And why do you think that is?
Totally. So we're currently in a world where I don't have to see someone physically to be their friend. I've had friends whom I've never seen, okay, I've never met in different countries. We've been talking. In fact, business partners, we do business like from the reach of our phones, and we can transact, and we can do a lot of things. So yes, it's like a major part of our daily life now. Yeah.
So do you have more online friends than offline friends? Would you say you do have more?
I'd say I have more offline friends than online friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I do. But not that does not mean that online friendships don't exist, or they're not.
So do you feel like they're more valuable than physical ones?
Maybe not. So it depends on your personality and your values as a person too, because sometimes it's really not about the distance or where you met the friend. Okay, it can either online friendships or offline friendships. It just depends on your personality and who you are.
Okay, can you give like an example of that? Like, how did you meet most of your online friends, and why did you feel like, okay, they are trustworthy? Like you said, you've met people that you've not even known. I've seen people on TikTok posts writing, who wants to go out. Like if you go on if you go under most of these restaurants online, and somebody's doing a reel on 5 restaurants that you can go to in Abuja, or 5 places that you can visit in this, go to the comments, you see most people saying who's available to go. So why do you think people trust people that much online?
Okay, like I said previously, it's a thing of personality. So there are also people who don't like to share, or who don't even trust anybody online, okay, basically because of maybe past experiences, information that they have, and all. So it's more with people in this generation to easily trust people online, so they can have virtual relationships. They can, like, people they've never met, and they are sharing very intimate or private conversations or personal things with those people, even without meeting them for the first time. Sometimes people even go as far as traveling out of their state, out of their country, to meet someone they've never met. I mean, international relationships and marriages happen right before our eyes today, so it's no longer news.
So have you had any online friends that have lasted for more than like 5 years?
I wouldn't say so. No, I haven't. Aside old friends that I have not seen for that long, that have maintained those relationships online, I haven't.
Okay. So you think meaningful relationships can exist without ever meeting physically?
Absolutely.
Okay. So when we talk about, I mean, we don't just want to talk about relationships and, friendships online. We want to talk about the opportunities that, social media has given also to people. So you're into social media, and branding. So would you say it has expanded these opportunities for young people and made them more, independent?
All right, on that, yes, absolutely. So, when it comes to business, okay, or marketing, which I am in, wherever your audience goes is where your marketing should go. So, if we have more people on social media, it's only wise to take your marketing to social media. I mean, we had the age where there were print magazines, there were newspaper adverts. It still exists, but it's more like social media has replaced that now. So almost anybody can easily pick up their phones, go to Google or go to Meta Ads rather, and put up an ad, and they make sales for their business. So that on its own is already a benefit or something that social media does for businesses. So there are lots of opportunities, even for people who have skills. Okay, anybody can open up a TikTok account and start shooting videos of themselves doing their regular normal things. So even if it's a phone repair, I mean, people have gotten customers from different states. Even if it's cooking, whatever you do, like social media has kind of democratized marketing for everyone. So it's no longer you have to book a TV space or a billboard or whatever. Now you can easily do it at the reach of your phone. So
Okay. That takes us to, second talking points, the price of constant connection. And one of the biggest ironies of modern life is this. We've never been more connected. Yet loneliness continues to dominate global conversations. Many psychologists suggest that constant comparison, endless scrolling, and the pressure to present a perfect life online may contribute to anxiety and lower self-esteem. There's also concern about shrinking attention spans. A generation raised on short-form videos now consumes information differently from previous generations. Some educators even argue that students struggle to concentrate for extended periods because they're accustomed to constant digital stimulation. Now, in light of this, would you say social media is affecting young people's mental health?
yes, I would say so on a very increasing amount. So a lot of people seek validation online currently. I mean, it's a I don't say it's a pandemic, but it's a serious issue. I mean, people can do anything just to get likes, engagements on their content. Once they see that, oh, the normal things are no longer working, they can just switch it up and do something different so that people will get, like, they value someone real life telling them, oh, you're beautiful, or you're this, you're that. They value the one online, they value 1,000 likes or 1,000,000 views over that. So I mean, I saw a video one time where someone was like, you are complaining that that's the end point of the video was, you're complaining that it was only 100 likes you got on your video. So he kind of visualized what 100 people liking what you did would be like in real life. First, it started with 10, it started with 100. Of course, it was an AI generated video, so he put 10 people in a small space liking what you do. He put 100 people, he put 1,000, and he put 10,000, and it was like, wow. So this amount of people saw what I did and said it is beautiful, and you are complaining about 100 people. So I mean, it's now it's like a problem, yes, especially for young people, because they want validation, they want people to notice what they are doing, and they want to go viral. It's now like a lingua every day now. They want to go viral, so it's a real issue. And aside that, you mentioned constant connection. I mean, there are people who don't value the people they see physically by their side, family, friends, to the ones they see online. So some people can go any length just to constantly be online. Okay, of course, I don't want to go that route, or how much the networks are charging us these days on
It's quite a lot.
quite a
Yeah.
lot. So, but you find yourself constantly, you can spend your feeding money on data just to stay connected. And many times, it's not even really because maybe there's something you're going to do online. Many times it could be your feeling to stay connected or to stay involved. What's currently trending? What is going on? Let me not be left behind. So,
Yeah. You know that you talked about this friendship thing. I think it's actually one of the reasons why people don't value physical friendship anymore, right? Because when we're little, right, if somebody says they didn't want to be your friend, it was a huge it was a huge problem, because what do you mean you don't want to be my friend? Who am I going to play with? All right. So we worked harder at our relationships because we felt like these are the people that we have. If you don't play with me, if we're not allowed to go to this person's house, we're going to be alone, right? But now we've seen a trend where people are so quick to cut off their friends.
very, very true. So, I mean, it has affected almost everything in our lives and our relationships. So I'm a should I say a relationship advocate, not romantic relationships,
Yeah.
but kind of relationships, like, because a vital aspect of our lives as human beings is relationships. So you really cannot. There are many things you cannot do. I mean, right from your immediate family, your parents, and all. There are things you cannot become by yourself. Okay, you cannot just totally cut off people and say, okay, because I have online friends that really don't know you. I mean, people who you really don't. Someone was like, nobody posts their real life online or their bad times online. Not many people just. It's like a make believe. Many people want you to see what they want.
You to see,
only
yeah.
see what they want you to see. Okay, so you cannot trade that for real life connections or real life relationships. So it's a problem in our day.
Now let's talk about attention span, because I feel like that's one great, issue that social media has caused. If you're making videos now, people advise you that if you want, your videos to go viral, if you want your videos to work for you, you have to shorten them to 30 seconds, right? Because no matter what you're saying, the people that are willing to listen to your video for more than 30 seconds, they're not a lot. And now, out of social media, it has affected relationships. It has affected school, education, and everything. Because nobody has time to sit down and listen to what somebody has to say if it's getting too long or if it's not what they want to hear. Education is becoming really, really boring because everybody wants to quickly scroll. Exactly. So what do you have to say about that?
Okay, so like I said, social media has its good sides, and this is the unfortunate bad side of social media, because I mean, why can't you maintain a conversation? Many people cannot actually maintain a conversation for an hour, a meaningful conversation at that. Okay, rather at every minute they are checking their phone. They want to check who has liked my video, or what is somebody else saying now, which TikTok celebrity is going viral for what, and all of that. So, and also talking about reels, okay, I mean, even the algorithms don't push your content. So I work in social media, so I can tell you, if you're going to make a video right now and it's beyond 1 minute 30 seconds, that video, chances are it won't go anywhere because the algorithms have been designed in such a way that, oh, there are hooks, okay, that get people's attention. So they will only push it when, okay, your hook is very catchy and that hook can keep the person for the next 1 minute 30 seconds. If it exceeds that, it has to be something very, very important. Else, your video will just stay with you and your few friends.
And even if it's something very important, it still doesn't go. Because there's some creators now that before they start their video, they just tell you, if you know you have a very short attention span, please scroll.
Exactly.
Because this is going to be a long video. And it's not even a lie, because even, like, I think I'm guilty of that too. You just want to move on to the next thing. You want to just scroll, and you can sit there doing that thing for hours.
True.
Because you don't, sometimes you get into an app, you just want to check something, and the next thing you're there for hours, you're just like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling because, oh, there's something interesting. You only stop maybe if you get to a point where it's no longer interesting anymore. You're like, oh, I actually came here to do something. So I think that has also, affected our relationships with others, because before you remember to call somebody, before you remember to put a text across to your family or, call your friends, you spent like 5 hours or more.
Sometimes even your productivity
Exactly.
as a person. So, okay, you're supposed to get a task done. And, I mean, I am also guilty of this. While working on something, and maybe this task is supposed to take you like 30 minutes, an hour. But because you are going to be checking social media in between, every 15 minutes, every 10 minutes, this task can linger for the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. Sometimes you can even end up procrastinating. Oh, I'm going to do it because you swipe. See, the algorithms are trained to keep you hooked, to keep you engaged. So the more you swipe, you see more interesting things that catch your attention because the data is being trained on your interest, the things that you like. So you keep seeing things and all. So it now has to take a certain level of intentionality to say, okay, now this is the time I want to study, this is the time I want to work, this is the time I want to pray, this is the time I want to do this and that. So I mean, it's something that needs to be checked. It's a serious thing. Cause,
I've heard people say I don't work on my phone because of that.
Exactly. I deliberately, sometimes if I'm doing a serious work, I put my phone away. Of course, sometimes you have to hotspot your system with your phone, so maybe you have to keep it close and all. So what I do, especially because I'm constantly chatting maybe with a client, and also I have my WhatsApp on my laptop, so my phone is far away. If I want to do any serious work, my phone has to be far, else that work is going to take longer than it should.
So you agree with me that social media has actually made a lot of people to like not go further in life?
Absolutely. Unproductive, lazy, bad at relationships, even in their in their knowledge. Okay, knowledge gap is widening between certain people. Yeah, because there are many people who don't do any meaningful studies or information. Like, how many people even read books now? How many people even okay? We are currently in the AI age. Okay, we have a lot of information on our hands, more than people in the previous generation. But how many people even do that? Why? Social media. So people even use AI to chat. It's ridiculous. That's because they want to chat, they want to drop a comment. They're using so because social media, so it's like a drug currently. It's a new addiction.
So let's go to culture, way of life, behavior. Has comparison culture, has it become very dangerous because of social media? Because we've seen people do things that they saw online. Although most of them wouldn't agree that they did it because they saw it online, right? But it has a way to, just seep into your life. You just find yourself wanting to do a certain thing. This influencers culture, you're watching somebody that is 21 that has like this kind of money, traveling like to 10 countries in 1 year, and you just find yourself wanting that for yourselves. So would you say that is, is it becoming more dangerous? Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Because most people say, oh, it's for motivation, like I'm motivated. Where do you actually draw the line?
It's motivation, but a bad motivation. Okay. So, I understand from personal study, nobody actually really made it up there overnight. Okay, so it now brings a question to, okay, what are these guys that, okay, they are buying GLE, GLK online? How did they make it? How did they get the money? So if you really sit down to analyze, you understand that, okay, there has to be something else. Okay, because sometimes realistically, the money that they say social media pays, realistically, you have to do it for a very long time for it to pay you that amount. Aside of brand ambassadorships and the rest of it, and people wanting to feature your video and paying you a lot of money, and you doing courses and the rest. Yes, social media pays money, but it also requires you putting in the work for a long time. So there's no motivation to there's no good motivation to want to make it overnight. It's only a bad motivation that will make you do that. Okay. Now, aside that, I have this quote I got from a mentor of mine. He said, we're all products of influence. So whether you agree or not, what you're putting on, the way you talk, the way you sit, the way you do things, someone inspired or influenced you to do it, whether you agree. So the things you expose yourself to. Now, we say we spend a lot of time online. That is influencing us. Yes, it's influencing our lives, whether we like it or not. It is influencing our lives. So if you find yourself, okay, some people come out and say, oh, I just discovered I'm gay. I just discovered that I like this kind of thing, or I like this kind of food, or I like this kind of dressing. Or you find yourself going to the market to buy a particular kind of dress, and you feel, oh, I like it. No, you have been trained subconsciously to like that thing. Like, it bypassed your conscious mind for you to like that particular thing. Because if you look at years back, I mean, just not long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, there are certain kinds of dressing that you see. Like, everybody, in fact, the person that is wearing that thing will be feeling uncomfortable. But today it has become a norm. Why? Because social media, many people are doing it online, and nobody is really saying anything. I mean, there are some people who come out to talk online, okay, should we do this, should we not do that, and all. But yes, social media is influencing us negatively.
Yeah. So do you feel like there are more influencers that influence negatively than they do positively?
I mean, so it's also a call for positive influencers. So if you have something nice upstairs, if you have better things to say on social media, please bring it out.
But most people say, if I put out this influence, I'm not going to have the kind of followers that I need, or the kind of people that I want to look at my content.
I would say there's an audience for every kind of content. Okay? So for every kind of business, there's an audience. There's somebody who likes whatever you do, no matter how bad it is. For somebody to come out on social, I don't want to call names. So for someone to come out on social media and say certain things that, and you as a normal thinking person, you're just like, really? Somebody shamelessly come out to say this, and nobody said anything to them. So for them to do that, and sometimes the problem is not with them. Sometimes you now see the the engagement, the views, the likes, the comments. I'm like, wow, this is Olodo uprising. It's a real,
It's a real
it's a
thing.
real thing.
I see that. I know people like to say, "Oh, Twitter is a platform for intellectuals." You know, you have to think deep.
Not necessarily.
But to be honest, the more I'm on the app, the more I see very, very, very. I don't want to use the word like very unnecessary takes that people have, and when you're looking at it, you're like, so people actually think like this.
So it reviews a lot.
It reveals a lot, and it's actually dangerous. Like if you're a deep thinker and you like tend to like think about things beyond people saying, oh, it's not that deep, you just be like, there are a lot of this kind of people like everywhere.
Very true. I mean, I walk on the streets and I meet these people and I don't know.
You don't know them.
I see them in offices, I don't know. And they're normal people.
You don't know them. And you know, some people like some of you are even in relationships with these kind of people.
Exactly.
That's why I always believe that your social media has a lot to say about you. Believe it or not, somebody say, oh, your life on social media can be very different from your, you know, from real life. Okay, fine. But what part of you thought it was okay for you to put that out? And then you're coming to tell me that that's not me. That's my life on social media. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true, to be honest.
Even as little as WhatsApp, I mean, you can share things and say it's just for jokes, just for fun. It's not true. Anything that you deem fit to share to someone else.
You found something that you related with.
Exactly. You related with that thing properly before putting it out.
Okay.
So it's you you're sharing.
So how much responsibility will you say lies with this platform, and how much lies with the users?
Okay. So we're calling the platforms and we're calling the users. I wouldn't say there is more on the platform. Okay, those guys are out there to make money.
Mm-hmm.
So you are actually the market because they are monetizing your attention. So because you think you're just out there, okay, and enjoying anything that is free, because TikTok, Instagram, anything that is free has a lot is taken from you more than the free side of it. So you would not necessarily put it on them. Okay, you rather put it on the individuals who are using or the users of the social media platforms, because they are running a business, and many businesses, sad to say, are brutal. They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your future. They are just there to get richer and richer and become top businesses in the world.
Yeah.
So you are the one who decides, okay, this is the boundary or this is the limit to which I can use this particular product. Is it harmful? Is it good for me to this extent? So, yeah.
So, should digital wellness be taught in schools? I've seen TikToks, or I've seen parents have TikToks for their children, right? By the way, are you an advocate for that? Is it okay for your child to be on social media at like an early age?
No. No.
Even if they don't control their social media.
I'm
So when did you start using social media like really early on, or?
pretty much early. I started using social media from when I was 11.
Okay.
I started using social media from when I was 11. I just found the way. I didn't even have a phone then. I opened an account, a Facebook account on someone's phone.
Okay. So based on your experience, you don't think it's okay?
Yes, from my experience, of course I've been exposed to good things, but likewise, there are certain things that if not for the grace of God and proper parenting, I would be something else. Okay, because social media now, children don't really have so much willpower or autonomy to say, okay, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. They are just at the age where they are taking in anything that is around or that is they are exposed to. So you have to, as a parent, intentionally decide what your child gets exposed to, because that would shape their life later on.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anything that you don't want for them, in fact, don't even expose them in the first place.
Yeah.
I would rather call you to come sit on my phone than even give you the phone. In fact, you can have a phone, but don't do social media.
Okay. This takes us to our third talking point. Can we find a healthy balance? Now, despite the concerns, social media has also transformed lives for the better. Small businesses have found customers, young creators have built careers, families separated by continents stay connected. Social media have found global audiences. Emotional content is now accessible to millions. Perhaps the conversation isn't about abandoning social media. Perhaps it's about learning how to use it intentionally, because technology should serve people and not actually replace them. So, in light of this, what does healthy social media use look like?
Okay, so healthy social media use should, in my opinion, it should be a reflection of your personality, values, goals for life. So it should not start from social media, it should start from you.
Yeah.
It should be, okay, I have, this is who I want to become. Okay, this is the kind of life I want to live. So it will not determine where I am going and my use of other things, even aside social media. So my algorithms don't pop up any kind of thing. If you really, I would say, if you really want to even know someone now, just go to their social media. The things that pop up will tell you more about them than they say. Because your algorithms are a reflection of your personality or your interests, the things you like. So I'd say healthy social media should be as a result of, this is what I want to be, this is where I'm going. So that will now inform my use of social media. So I said that to also say there are businesses that cannot thrive outside social media. They have to be on social media consistently. They are professionals, they are social media managers, social media content strategists, they are content creators. So if you want to say, oh, social media is bad and all that, then how will they do?
Yeah.
Okay, so there are people who their life is dependent on social media. So that's now, it's when you now define, okay, this is where I'm going, then you now say, okay, it's now determine how much hours I spend on social media or the kind of content I engage with. I have learned more things from social media than I have learned outside social media as a person. Okay, I've been able to engage with people that I've never been able to meet, like physically, like industry, captains of industry in my field and several others. So I've been able to hear from them. I've been able to interact with content that expose my mind to a lot, just on social media. So if I am not getting something from social media, then I shouldn't be there.
I recently saw a podcast where someone said something. You're like, people should be intentional about everything they do, including your social media. Like, before you get on your phone, you need to, tell yourself, these are the kind of things that I'm going to see, I want to look at. If I see the kind of content, I'm going to scroll past. Or when you pick up your phone, you already know the page you're going to. You already know the contents that you want to, look at, and the kind of people that you'd like to follow. Not just allowing everything and anything be on your feed. And you also have to have your own principles before going on social media. The things that you be your own person. Believe in your relationships. Live your life as if you don't have social media, and live your life as if you don't have social media. Let social media be a plus for you.
Let it be a tool.
Yeah, let it be exactly.
Because it is actually. Social media is something that you use. It should not be using you. I mean, how can you just wake up and bam? The first thing is, we are almost all guilty of it. Okay, but it's more like it's the one controlling you, not you controlling it. Because why? Just why? Of course, you have maybe business online and all that, but you should decide. Okay, this is the time where I go. Like you said, intentionality has to go into it.
Yeah.
Because aside that, you just find out that you're growing old.
So do you have like days or moments where you say, okay, today I'm not going to be online?
Yes. There are times when even as much as my business is majorly on WhatsApp, I can just decide I'm not taking any calls, chats whatsoever for today, and that's it.
How does it help you?
So it helps me, should I say unwind? Yeah, that's the word. Helps me unwind, and it also helps me connect with
The people that actually matter.
yes, real life. There are sometimes I'm having conversations and I put away my phone, like totally, because why is your phone always inside? Why are you talking and it's also disrespectful in a way, like checking your social media. Even if you don't value the person, why are you even keeping them as friends if you don't value them? So it should not be a thing for us. Okay, for me personally, there are times where I decide, okay, today or for this number of hours, I'm going to keep my phone away. Either I'm going to study, I'm going to have meaningful interactions with my friends, with gist, with play, with talk, or pray. Can't keep your phone away for 3 hours and pray.
Yeah. I think that has really crept into moments that we're supposed to be having with ourselves. Because even when people go out to hang out, you still see them on their phone most of the time.
Exactly.
You know, it's not like what you're saying there. You cannot sit later,
Sure.
but then it has taken, part of your date. You're with someone on a date and you're looking at your phone. You're in church and you're looking at your phone. You're in class, you're looking at your phone. Because I don't know, it's an addiction that people don't realize that they have.
Realize that they have.
Yeah.
I currently have timers on my social apps. Like once it gets to this time, it goes off for the day. Okay, bye, you're done.
Wow.
Yes, I currently, especially on X. X is addictive. Very, very, I can say I'm guilty of that. It's addictive. So I have timer on X. Once it is the time that I put for it, that's all for the day. So I don't do much of Instagram and TikTok or X. In fact, I also have for Instagram, but I most times don't hit the limit for Instagram and TikTok.
Okay, because you're not always there.
I'm not always there. So
Yeah.
for X I have. So because if you're not intentional about your life, something else will be helping you live your life without you knowing it.
Exactly. So what advice would you give young people trying to balance, online and offline life?
So I would say, from what I said previously, I would say know yourself first. Know yourself and sit down without your phone, without ChatGPT. Ask yourself sincere questions. Is this kind of life that I want to live?
Yeah.
Okay. Who am I? Where am I going to? Okay, because many people don't even think about it. Where do I want to be in 10 years? Where do I want to be in so and so time? I was recently reading of the current billionaires we have in Nigeria. Some of them, like Tony Lumelu said he bought his first bank in his early 30s with his friends. Why can't I have that kind of relationship that helps me buy a bank in my 30s? For goodness sake. So you have to be intentional about, okay, where am I going? Who am I? What do I want to do with my life? Then it will now inform the things that you do on a daily basis. You now say, okay, this month, this is what I want to achieve. Next month, this year, this is what I want to achieve. Okay, so that will now inform the people you follow, the content that you interact or engage with. If you see me on social media, I'm learning something. It's that I'm getting updated on information, not rubbish information, or I am reading something very important. So it's not random for me at all. It's very, very intentional. So the same way, you have to be intentional about your life because time is going.
Yeah, you can just be doom scrolling for a whole year,
Scroll for a whole year.
and you don't know.
And you take stock of your life and you've not really achieved so much, both internally and externally.
Mm-hmm.
You've not really achieved so much. So it's a thing young people have to watch out for. Because you find out that, okay, especially in this part of the world, it's sad to say the kind of content we see is really not the kind of content they show in China. It's really not the kind of content they show in America in certain places.
Yeah, very
Because
true.
some of their governments are very intentional or very serious about what goes out to their young people. Because the future of any nation is with the young people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we don't have that, sadly. So you have to take it up on yourself to say, okay, if I continue like this, I'll be part of the statistics. Part of negative statistics of people who did not achieve anything with their life because of social media. You're making money off your attention and your time.
And it's no, like you said in the beginning, it's really becoming a pandemic. Really, there are many people with nothing upstairs than people that have like a lot upstairs now. And that's because of the majority of content that we see on social media, and not it at all. They often, promote the worst kind of behavior.
Exactly.
Okay. So for Gen Z, social media isn't simply a platform, it's an environment. It's where friendships are built, dreams are shared, businesses begin, communities thrive. But perhaps our greatest challenge is remembering that where life can be documented, through a screen, it can only truly be lived beyond it. Well, thank you very much, Number 4, joining us on the show today. We're so grateful. That was such a great conversation. And we know, like, our viewers have had, a lot of things to gain from this conversation. And we're hoping that people are able to balance their offline relationships with, the life that they have online, because, both are actually important. We just need intentionality. So thank you for bringing that to light. Thank you. And thank you for joining us on the Front Burner today. We'll be right back after the break.
Our ears are totally amazing organs. They pick up different kinds of sounds around you and then translate that information into a form that your brain can understand. Ears not only let us hear, but they also play a role in maintaining our balance, which is vital to our ability to function in daily life. And yet, sometimes we ignore them. Almost always, we take for granted what they do for us until we notice that something's wrong, such as when an earache strikes or when we start having to ask people to repeat what they said. So to keep our ears in peak condition means we have to take care of our hearing, and that means essentially dealing with noise, or rather, controlling how much noise our ears are exposed to at any point. Exposure to noise is a fact of life and often unavoidable. The most common sources of noise are found in traffic, workplaces, schools, recreational environments, and residences. Did you know that at lower levels, noise can disrupt sleep patterns, create stress, interfere with communication, and even cause accidents? Oh yes, and at high levels, noise can stimulate aggression and other antisocial behaviors, and worst of all, cause permanent damage to our hearing. A lot of people already suffer from hearing loss, and studies show that a great number are below the age of 65. Significant causes of hearing loss are vehicle and aircraft noise, prolonged exposure to loud music, and industrial noise. The WHO claims that globally 1 in 4 people would have hearing problems by the year 2050. That's nearly 2.5 billion people worldwide. In Nigeria, experts from the Speech Pathologists and Audiologists Association in Nigeria say at least 8.5 million Nigerians are suffering from hearing impairments. Traffic noise alone is harming the health of almost every third person regularly exposed to sound levels that could significantly damage hearing. Exposure to excessively loud noise is one of the main causes of hearing loss. Researchers are pointing to behavioral risk factors such as listening to sound on headsets or earphones at dangerously high volumes as one possible culprit. Prolonged exposure to any noise over 85 decibels can result in noise-induced hearing loss. Some music devices reach 100 decibels at full volume. Considering how common earset or headset use is among young people, it's no wonder researchers are questioning whether their use might contribute to increased risk of noise-induced hearing loss in teenagers. The most important keys to hearing protection and hearing loss prevention are awareness and education. Teaching kids and teens about the causes, signs, and lifelong effects of hearing loss and ways to protect their hearing are important steps that need to be taken in schools, communities, and homes across the country. So what does all of this mean for us? The most sobering fact to keep in mind is that noise-induced hearing loss is permanent. Once the damage is done, it is irreversible. Therefore, having hearing loss at a young age can negatively impact an individual for the rest of his or her life. To prevent hearing loss, then, we need to do the following. Number 1, turn it down. When you are listening to music or any audio device and you have control over its volume, always turn it down to acceptable levels and those not.
Stay up to date with LN 24/7. LN 24/7. With news, politics, business, sports, and more on LN 24/7. Where the story goes, we go.
Hello and welcome to the news. My name is Imabong Afia. President Bola Tinubu has approved the establishment of a new Nigerian Army battalion in Kwara State as part of efforts to strengthen security and intensify the fight against banditry, terrorism, and other violent crimes. The battalion will be located in Omu Aran, the headquarters of Iropodun local government area, and is expected to boost the deployment of troops and military equipment, particularly in communities affected by kidnappings and bandit attacks. Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak announced the approval in a statement issued by his Deputy Chief Press Secretary Mashood Agbola, describing it as another demonstration of the federal government's commitment to addressing the state's security challenges. He thanks President Tinubu for approving the new military formation, expressing confidence that it will significantly strengthen counterterrorism and anti-kidnapping operations across the state. The governor also commended the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Wadi Shabu, for swiftly processing the state's request for increased military presence. Nigeria has called for deeper cooperation with Germany in economic development, security, renewable energy, digital innovation, and regional peace, as both countries seek to strengthen their long-standing bilateral relationship. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegu-Ojukwu, made the call on Wednesday while receiving Germany's Federal Minister for Foreign Affairs, Johann Wadephul, and his delegation during a bilateral meeting in Abuja. She described Germany as one of Nigeria's most important strategic partners in Europe, noting that relations between the two countries have continued to grow through decades of mutual respect, trust, and productive cooperation. Odumegu Ojukwu said Nigeria-Germany relations have expanded beyond diplomacy to include trade and investment, development, cooperation, renewable energy, education, vocational training, science and technology, migration, culture, peace, and security. She also expressed appreciation for Germany's consistent support for Nigeria's development goals and efforts to promote peace and stability in West Africa. Also, the federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening bilateral trade and economic relations with Uganda through the revitalization of the Nigeria-Uganda Joint Permanent Commission. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, gave the assurance while receiving a Ugandan delegation led by the Senior Presidential Advisor on Exports and Industry, Odrake Waboyo, in Abuja. He said Nigeria is committed to expanding economic cooperation with Uganda and other African countries by leveraging the continent's resources, diversity, and growing population to promote sustainable development and shared prosperity. Akume noted that the economic reforms introduced by President Bola Tinubu are designed to promote private sector-led growth, improve the ease of doing business, attract investment, and accelerate infrastructure development. He added that efforts to streamline taxation, unify foreign exchange mechanisms, and improve transportation networks are essential to creating a more competitive and investor-friendly economy, while stressing the importance of adding value to Africa's natural resources to drive industrialization and job creation. Egypt is in talks with major companies including Shell, Total Energies, and BP to secure between 15 and 18 liquefied natural gas (LNG) cargoes each month under contracts expected to last at least 3 years. The negotiations come as Egypt's domestic gas production struggles to meet rising demand, and global LNG markets remain under pressure due to the Iran conflict, which has disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz and intensified competition among countries seeking to secure energy supplies. Sources said discussions are also being held with commodities trader H3 Partners, while the proposed agreements could run for between 3 and 5 years, although they have yet to be finalized. Despite relative economic stability, Egypt's energy import costs have surged. The country's natural gas imports bill reportedly rose from about $560 million before the conflict to roughly $1.65 billion for the same volumes in March. Based on recent market pricing, the new LNG deals could cost Egypt between $8 billion and $11 billion annually. Also, Ethiopian police have arrested 17 suspects, including the alleged leader of a multi-million-dollar international human trafficking network, accused of smuggling thousands of migrants from Ethiopia to Saudi Arabia through Djibouti and Yemen. Police allege that the network was responsible for the deaths of 60 migrants, the sexual abuse of numerous women, and the torture of Ethiopian migrants in Yemen, while extorting more than 1 billion Ethiopian birr from victims and their families. The suspected ringleader, Mohamed Taher, also known as Wadi, and the other suspects have not yet appeared in court or publicly responded to the allegations. According to police, the syndicate transported more than 40,000 Ethiopians and operated detention centers in war-torn Yemen, where migrants were allegedly tortured and filmed to force their relatives in Ethiopia to pay ransom. Police spokesperson Jaylan Abdi said the suspects were arrested during a 15-day operation carried out in Addis Ababa and the eastern city of Harar. Investigators have submitted the case to the Ministry of Justice, supported by witness statements from Saudi Arabia and Ethiopia, as well as documentary evidence. Heavy rains that have battered much of Chile have left 13 people dead and 7 others missing, while thousands have been displaced as widespread flooding, road closures, and damage to homes continue to affect the country's central and southern regions. The head of Chile's SINAPRED Emergency Office, Alicia Sepran, warned that waterways, streams, and riverbanks had been weakened by several days of rainfall, with the risks of rising water levels still high in some areas. She said 2,281 people had been displaced, 81 homes destroyed, and 2,761 others severely damaged, while about 87,000 people remained without electricity. Interior Minister Claudio Avrado said the government would initiate disciplinary proceedings against electricity distribution companies over delays in restoring power to affected communities. Schools in several municipalities across 4 regions were also closed due to the severe weather. Although most of Chile's major copper and lithium mines are located in the country's northern region, which has largely escaped the storms, some mining operations have temporarily scaled back activities because of the adverse weather conditions. The federal government, through the Equipment Leasing Registration Authority, ERA, has said expanding access to equipment leasing is essential to boosting agricultural productivity, strengthening food security, and empowering young Nigerians to build sustainable agribusinesses. Speaking at the 5th edition of the Agriculture, Youth and Technology Nigeria Challenge, organized by Haifa International Nigeria, ERA Registrar and Chief Executive Officer Donald Wokoma said limited access to equipment and modern technology remains a major obstacle to the growth of youth-led businesses. He noted that equipment leasing provides an affordable way for entrepreneurs to acquire productive assets without the burden of high upfront costs. Wokoma said improved access to tractors, irrigation systems, agro-processing machines, and other equipment would help expand youth-owned enterprises, increase agricultural output, and strengthen value chains. He added that ERA and Haifa International Nigeria remain committed to supporting young entrepreneurs through innovative leasing solutions that promote business growth and job creation. And in sports news, FIFA says Nigeria has the talents needed to qualify for the 2030 FIFA World Cup, but believes the Super Eagles' success will depend more on stability than ability. In its assessment of Nigerian prospects, the World Football Governing Body noted that the Super Eagles reached the round of 16 in 3 of their 6 World Cup appearances, but have missed the last 2 editions. Nigeria also fell short of qualifying for the 2026 tournament after losing to DR Congo in a penalty shootout in the final stage of the African qualifiers. Despite the setback, FIFA described Nigeria as one of Africa's most promising football nations, citing the country's rich pool of football talent and strong player development system. However, FIFA stressed that talent alone will not guarantee qualification for the 2030 World Cup. It said the Super Eagles will need sustained administrative and technical stability, supported by a strong football structure, to consistently deliver the performances required to return to football's biggest tournaments. Thanks for staying with us. Visit our content hub at www.ln247.news for latest updates and more news programs. This morning's show continues after the break.
At LN 24/7, we bring the news closer to you.
Is failing to protect Christian.
And from Nigeria, we go to Kenya, where President William Ruto.
It was powerful all over the world.
Local and international news.
Every hour, every day.
And the deal was struck.
Here on LN 24/7.
The eyes have it.
Let's look at the key drivers.
LN 24/7, where the story goes.
We go.
Your brand deserves to be seen. On Helen 24/7, we put your business in front of a global audience, anytime, anywhere. From product highlights to full brand features, we help you connect with customers who matter, grow your reach, and boost your visibility. Reach millions across TV, digital, and social media platforms. For more information, you can send us an email or contact us via the numbers on your screen. Partner with Helen 24/7 today, where your brand meets opportunity.
Thanks for staying with us. It's time for hashtags where we take a look at the hottest stories trending on social media. This is going to really be an interesting one, so you want to sit tight for this. On our first hashtag story, one-term presidential agreement talk by Obi and Kwankwaso is hogwash. This is from Otubanjo. Now, political conversations ahead of the 2027 general election continue to gather momentum following comments by a research professor at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Professor Femi Otubanjo, who has dismissed reports of a one-term presidency agreement between the presidential candidates of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, Peter Obi, and his running mate, Rabiu Kwankwaso, describing the arrangement as hogwash. Otubanjo's reaction comes days after Kwankwaso publicly confirmed that both men signed a written agreement committing Obi to serve only one fourth-year term, after which power would return to Nothing Nigeria should the party win the 2027 presidential election. Speaking during a television interview, Otubanjo argued that a single presidential term would not provide sufficient time for meaningful governance, noting that a new administration could spend its first years settling into office before political attention shifts towards another election cycle. He also questioned whether such a political agreement would reassure voters, particularly in Nothing Nigeria. The development has since sparked mixed reactions across the political landscape and on social media. While some Nigerians believe a one-term commitment demonstrates respect for power rotation and political compromise, others argue that the country's challenges require continuity in leadership beyond a single four-year term. Others, however, insist that performance should remain the deciding factor for voters. As discussions around zoning, power sharing, and electoral promises continue to dominate political discourse, analysts say the debates may increasingly shape conversations ahead of the 2027 presidential election. I actually saw this interview on X, and people had a lot to say about this. Let's get some of the reactions. The Joker said, "This is the most ridiculous comment I've heard in recent times. If we have leaders that think like this, how can Nigeria grow? Government is a continuum. After one term, the next president takes over. Obi has conquered greed, looking at what he did in Anambra." Next reaction, please. Oji Chimezirim said, "Believe it or not, Obi can keep his promise. Meanwhile, I'm more concerned with the new economic and educational or human development policies of all the aspirants. Can they start hinting on them even before the full-fledged campaign? Obi, Atiku, and even Tinubu." I agree with Oji. I mean, if he would want to keep to his promise and make all these things, all these plans that he has come through in 4 years, then he should already have a proper plan, and we should start hearing most of those, promises and what he plans to do even before the election comes. Let's get to the next reaction, please. Wino said, "And a single term was enough for Tinubu and the APC to destroy Nigeria. And Buhari had 2 terms, and what did he do with it?" And I used to think wisdom comes with age by default. Let's get to the next reaction, please. Patrick Ekong says, "You are talking like Peter Obi has 0 governance experience, or is it government works?" he's making a big argument here because, you know, Obi is not new to the governance space. So he actually has governed a state before, and he has good, you know, knowledge on what it means to rule. Looks like Kwankwaso scattered their campaign strategy with that statement. Now they are scrambling to grasp at something. Next reaction, please. Kenite said, because that's what APC did doesn't mean that's what Obi would do. In fact, APC has had almost 12 now and have done nothing. The only thing they would brag about is Coastal Road that's as good. Next reaction. Oh, that's all. We'll get to our next. Because the level of cowardice is legendary. Next reaction, please. Youth in Process said, until citizens play a greater role in funding political parties and campaigns transparently, many elected officials may remain more accountable to political sponsors than to the people. This person made a very, very valid point. Until we start getting more involved in politics, in all processes in politics, from political parties to campaigns to everything, until we make sure that we're the sole, vote, like that our votes are the sole reasons why they are there, and not because of any, influence, external influence, political godfathers and whatnot. That's where people will be more accountable to, people than their sponsors, because we really saw this unfold in the River State's political, environment. We really saw the fights, and it really brought to light a lot of things that were happening. Let's get to the next one. Freedom said, "This is a typical example of never fight for any politician. If you die for them, you die for nothing. I've never seen an Ijaw man this week. This is my first time." To be honest, it was really surprising. It was really surprising how everything turned out, right? So I agree with him. MK Vic said, "Politics is not child's play. I hope those who are making noise will learn from him and know that there's no morality in politics, and ingratitude is worse than witchcraft." Oh, okay, that's it for that story. I mean, we'll still have more, reactions about that later on. And we're going to the next hashtag, outrage over FG 8.5 billion naira budget for churches and mosques. Public reaction continues to chill with the federal government's decision to earmark 8.5 billion naira in the 2026 budget for the construction, renovation and rehabilitation of churches and mosques across the country, with many Nigerians questioning the government's spending priorities amidst ongoing economic challenges. According to an analysis by Tracker, the Accountability Initiative of Budget, the allocation covers 59 religious infrastructure projects spread across Naira, is allocated to 7 church-related projects, with some of the projects reportedly domiciled under ministries and agencies whose primary mandates are unrelated to religious infrastructure. The revelation has sparked widespread debates on social media and amongst civil society groups. While some Nigerians argue that government resources should be directed towards critical sectors such as healthcare, education, infrastructure, and security, others maintain that support for religious institutions can contribute to community development if implemented transparently. The controversy has also attracted political reactions, with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar calling on the federal government to disclose the identities and locations of all beneficiaries of churches and mosques to ensure transparency and accountability in the use of public funds. As discussions continue, the budget allocation has reignited a broader national conversation about fiscal priorities, transparency in public spending, and the appropriate role of government in funding religious projects. This is actually the first time I'm hearing about this, because, I mean, the churches, and mosques where they are appropriating this budget to, do they even know that they're doing that? Because I've not really heard of any significant ministry or, religious organization saying that government has anything to do with, building of churches or whatnot. So this is actually very new, and I must agree with what Atiku said. I mean, if there are organizations like this that this money is going to, we should know what churches these are, what mosques, what people are benefiting, and there should be a proper narration of what it is being used for, the people that this money is going to, because it's a lot of money, to be honest. It's a lot of money. So we need to know who are these people, what are these projects that need this money. We need full transparency. As usual, a lot of people had a lot to say about this. So let's look at the reactions, please. Fitzken said, other serious countries are budgeting for AI integration. Nigeria is focusing on religion. Olodo uprising in places of public responsibilities. Next reaction, please. Donik said, the way corrupted people used to keep the people from using their senses. Religion, government has no business in it. True. Extra Special says, why can't opposition employ capable audit firm to dissect these budgets and use the irregularities as campaign strategy? Every day, Peter Obi, we keep discussing in the media. No one is discussing important critical issues that affect our country. Such opposition that we have. Next reaction, please. Genosko says, nothing like outrage. We have criminals in power. Nothing surprises anyone anymore. They never have interest of Nigeria and Nigerians in their agenda. It's all about themselves and primitive looting. Next one, please. Mohammed Amin Saad said, this and worse would happen because the structure of our politics, which ushered in our various governments, is fraudulent. Well, next one. Noah says, if I'm not mistaken, this government awarded 33 million naira or so for hospitals across the country early this year, and now 8 billion for churches and mosques that will end up collecting my hard-earned money and start on offerings and baseless enticements. I just want you to know that these actions towards citizens are in fact intentional and deliberate, and I believe whenever we wake up from those is our morning. Next reaction, please. For your information, there's no separation of church and state in our constitution. We are not America. The government wants to use the figures for the purpose of propaganda. So that's the reactions that we can take for that story. I mean, like I said before, we'd need full transparency on that because that's actually a new one. I mean, I don't think I've heard about that before. Now, our next hashtag story, Fowles urges Nigerians to reject voter apathy, insisting every vote counts. Popular rapper, actor, and activist Folarin Falana, better known as Fowles, has called on Nigerians, particularly young people, to reject voter apathy, insisting that every vote counts and urging citizens not to lose faith in the country's democratic process. Speaking during an interview, Fowles argued that widespread belief that votes do not matter only benefits politicians, noting that if votes were truly insignificant, there would be no incentive for vote buying or attempts to influence election outcomes. He maintained that Nigerians must continue to participate actively in elections despite growing public frustration. The entertainer also clarified that while he has consistently encouraged Nigerians to vote, he has never publicly endorsed any political party or candidate. According to him, his advocacy has always been centered on strengthening democracy through free, fair, and credible elections rather than supporting individual politicians. Fowles' comments come amid renewed national conversations on voter apathy ahead of the 2027 general elections. While many Nigerians agree that increased voter turnout is essential to deepening democracy, others remain skeptical, citing concerns over electoral credibility, vote buying, and public trust in the electoral process. Political analysts say the debate highlights the growing challenge of restoring confidence in Nigeria's electoral system while encouraging greater civic participation, especially among young voters. And I do very well agree with what Fowles has said. I mean, no amount of your vote does not count should be able to stop anyone from voting. Now, this story trended on X, and let's see what people have to say about this. Tell Another Bro said, if votes didn't matter, these politicians wouldn't be scrambling to buy them. Time to wake up, Niger. No more sitting on the fence. Go register and vote. Our power. True, everyone should go register, like go vote, because like he said, if these things didn't matter, there wouldn't be plans to rig the election. They just do what they need to do. But we need to make sure the gap is so much that they can't rig it. And that can only happen if we go out to vote. Let's get the next reaction. Timeless said, when criminals government like Nigeria has used hunger, hardship, and insecurity to enslave their citizens, it will be hard for them. That's not all. Don't forget this. Your government job might be on the line if you don't. Let's go to the next one, please. Nigerians should not surrender to the belief that our votes do not count. This is from Abicrown Speaks. Said our participation is healthier for our democracy than widespread disengagement, and reject vote buying. Very important. Let's get to the next reaction. Timeless also said, it's not the voters that should be in question, it's the process and the people behind it. If you vote and I vote and Peter Obi got 200 votes, but INEC come out with different results that Peter Obi got 50, then what? I mean, we also have to do our part. They do their best to make sure it's you know, transparent, but we still have to vote. I mean, we can say this forever, but that doesn't mean that we should not vote. Shocking Prof said, they keep making us think our vote doesn't count, so we don't come out in mass to vote. That way they can easily rig the results. Very true. And that's all we can take for the reactions on that story. Let's go to the next one. And this one, yeah, it trended yesterday too. Pella Jarvis shared pre-wedding photos ahead of August 1st events. Popular Nigerian content creators and TikTok stars Pella and Jarvis have released their official pre-wedding photographs ahead of their much anticipated white wedding scheduled for August 1st, 2026, sparking excitement across social media. The couple shared a series of elegant photographs on their verified social media pages, accompanied by a heartfelt message describing the images as memories captured ahead of the special day. The post, which quickly went viral, attracted thousands of congratulatory messages from fans, celebrities, and fellow content creators, with many expressing anticipation for what is expected to be one of Nigeria's biggest influencer weddings this year. The pre-wedding shoot comes weeks after the couple completed their traditional marriage rites and civil wedding as they continue preparations for their church ceremony. Since announcing their wedding dates, Pella and Jarvis have remained in the spotlight, sharing glimpses of their journey to the altar with millions of followers online. With the countdown now underway, the couple's latest photos have once again generated conversations online, as supporters eagerly await the August 1st celebration, expected to draw prominent personalities from Nigeria's entertainment and digital content creation industries. Congratulations to Pella and Jarvis. I mean, they've been on such a journey. You know, social media has mostly opposed, you know, their relationships, but you know, they've made it this far from the drama that's happened, you know, when they were together, to the marriage, to the rumors, to everything. I think there are two people that have made their choice of being together, and so people should learn to live with the fact that people can make their choices and stick by their choices, even if they might not suit, you know, your preference for them, or they might not be in tune with what you think is best for them. But we still say congratulations to them. They are both adults and they have chosen to be together on this journey, and all we can do is to support them. So congratulations to Pella and Jarvis. And people had a lot to say about this, and so let's take the reactions. Edwin Gold said, this is amazing. There's no harm in trial. There'll definitely be ups and downs. But if Pella and Jarvis wants the best for their marriage, they should keep it off the internet. Even if they have kids, they shouldn't bring it officially by themselves. Let people keep assuming and spreading rumors. That way they'll have their peace. I mean, for people that actually build their life online, that would be very hard because they both make money from being online. Let's get the next reaction. Annie King said children that are supposed to be in their first years in the university, they're actually not small. I mean, Jarvis is a graduate, so I think she's done with school. Let's get to the next one. Godman says, this is no real love. The girl married him for his money. after the wedding, I give them 2 years, you go see them. I don't think that's a decision for, anyone to make, whether she did it for that or not. I mean, she's marrying him, and you can't be absolutely sure that she did it for that. So I feel like we should all just stop that and wish them the best. Izzy said, wait, so this their wedding, no be content. Yeah, I was surprised too. Like we've seen, it's real. It's real. So it's a real wedding. Adenka said, regardless of whatever una talk, they love each other and their marriage will last. Let people do what works for them. Some of you criticizing their union never get it right for once before. Yeah, let them do what works for them. Through. Let's get next reaction. So that's all the reactions that we can get for now on that story. We wish them the best. We wish them the absolute best. And we are very, we're very, as much as we're very surprised and as much as we think that's not what they should be doing, we still want the best for them, and we still say congratulations to them. And that's all we can take for the hashtag story. We've had such a great run today, from the developing stories to the front burner to the hashtag stories, and we've had very interesting hashtag stories. We're so glad that you were able to join us on the show today. We'll go on a quick break and we'll be back.
God loves us, and He wants us well. It doesn't matter where you are, and it doesn't matter what case it is.
This is Healing Streams, where anything is possible.
Presence of a miracle. You're in the place where grace abounds. This July, it's about to happen with you.
Relive the miracles, prepare for more. Millions of people around the world are preparing for one of the most anticipated global Christian events of the year. The Healing Streams live healing services with Pastor Chris, scheduled to hold from Friday, July 24th to Sunday, July 26th. The 3-day healing crusade is expected to unite participants from every continent through a powerful broadcast of faith, prayer, miracles, and the teaching of God's Word. Whether joining physically from designated healing centers or virtually through various broadcasts and digital platforms, people from different nations, cultures, and backgrounds will gather with one expectation: to experience the healing power of God. Experience an inspiring collection of miracle moments from the Healing Streams. Be inspired by incredible healing testimonies of lives transformed by God's power as you prepare for the July 2026 Healing Streams. Watch and let each testimony strengthen your confidence in God's unfailing word and prepare your heart for an even greater manifestation of miracles at the July 2026 Healing Streams live healing services with Pastor Chris.
You are loose! Oh, yeah! Yeah!
The Lord reigns. Let the earth rejoice. Let the multitude of isles be glad thereof. The heavens declare his righteousness, and all the people see his glory. Psalm 97, 1:6, King James Version. The distant shores and isles have heard it. The nations rejoice. From horizon to horizon, across the vast expanse of the earth, gladness has broken forth, and a new season of restoration has swept through the globe. During the March 2026 Healing Streams Live Healing Services, his righteousness and glory were revealed in undeniable splendor, dispelling darkness, uprooting affliction, and establishing the will of God in the world. Ministers across regions organized large crusades and healing centers where multitudes gathered in faith to experience miraculous healing, deliverance, and salvation. The move of God ignited hearts, sparked revival, and catalyzed unprecedented church growth throughout communities.
Estamos agradecidos a Dios por lo que nos ha dado la oportunidad.
We are very grateful to God for allowing us to have 3 large healing centers during the Healing Streams live healing services. We were able to print out thousands of magazines, which we distributed between markets, hospitals, streets, and people who were receiving the magazine with so much gratitude. And through the magazine, people were also connected to come to the healing centers. The first healing center was held in Nima, which was in a community that has been struck by a lot of poverty and psychological damage in children and in parents, because most of the parents are in jail and the children are abandoned. So, even though the government didn't want to allow us to hold an evangelistic healing center, through our prayers, we were able to hold one. Many adults and children came with burdens, needs, and sickness, and they found an opportunity to receive freedom, hope, and healing. We have around 35 testimonies of healing from only the first healing center, and approximately 120 people who gave their lives to Christ in the first healing center, and around 60 people were filled with the Holy Spirit. The second healing center was in the city of Pichinaki, which was 10 hours away from Lima, where we had the first healing center. We had to travel at 2 a.m. in a 10-hour road trip to be able to arrive at the second healing center. We were able to connect with the local people, the groups of indigenous people from there. They were able to come to the healing center. Around 1,000 people were gathered. Around 180 people were able to receive their healing. 90 people received the Holy Spirit, and so many other people received the Lord Jesus for the first time in their hearts. We also were able to witness firsthand people who were healed in the moment, just instantly. The third healing center was in the city called Huancayo, and in this place, people are very idolatrous, and they come from different places just to come to the healing center. In the whole history of Peru, nobody has dared to do a program in that place. But for the glory of God through the healing streams, that was the first program that was ever held in that place. Around 700 people were gathered in that place, and 220 idolatrous people gave their lives to Christ. So many other people were healed and filled with the Holy Spirit. We made tremendous impacts in these different places in Peru, and we are looking forward to achieving more. I'm very grateful for the life of the men of God, Pastor Chris, for the opportunity to carry out this healing programs in Peru. We are grateful. Thank you so much.
You are here!
It was a global outpouring without precedent, a torrent of miracles and blessings released simultaneously upon every nation under heaven. This extraordinary flow of healing wrought wonders beyond measure, and the witness to these miraculous works are spread across the globe, their testimonies resounding with joy and praise to God.
3 years ago, I had an accident at my job where I hurt my knee, and I couldn't work. And I was diagnosed with stage 4 osteoarthritis in both of my knees and throughout my body. And the doctor said that I needed to have surgery in both of my knees, but they were not able to do the surgery because I had a whole lot of other physical issues that they had diagnosed me with. One of them was hypothyroid, which I suffered from for many years, almost 20 years. And the others were diabetes and, so on and so on, to the point where my health just deteriorated over the years. I was always very physically strong, healthy. I could do a lot of things. I was very strong. But it got to the point where I needed assistance. I couldn't even stand for long periods of time. I couldn't breathe. I had to sleep with a breathing machine because I'd stopped breathing throughout the night. I was even using a walker. I had a hard time lifting my arms. I was so tired all the time. They had me on 8 different medications. It was such a task just to walk up and down stairs. One night back in January, I ended up blacking out, but I ended up getting taken to the hospital where I was there for about a week. So I did get to go home, and they sent me home with oxygen. And I was at home, and I knew the healing streams was coming. I knew that this was another miracle for me, that I would get my healing. So the day the healing streams came on, and I had turned on the program, and when Pastor came out on the stage, my spirit was so excited. I could feel in my spirit that something was changing. When Pastor said, "Put your hand on your body where you need healing," I was so excited, but I was kind of giggling to myself because I was like, "Lord, I need healing all over. Where am I going to put my hands?" But I put my hands on my heart, and I knew that I would be healed. Everything that I needed, I received that day, from the top of my head to the sole of my feet. You know, they put me on 8 medications, and I don't take any medications today.
Glory to God.
None whatsoever. And every day I've just gotten stronger and stronger. Before, I needed people to help me to stand up.
Oh, glory.
I stand up on my own. I can bend down, you know, I can stretch, I can lift my hands. I lift my hands in praise. And I stand for long periods of time. I don't get short-winded when I walk up the stairs anymore.
Wow.
I don't get dizzy. My kids want to, you know, my children want to carry my things, and they're always like, Mom, you need this. I got it. Don't worry, I got it. I'm getting stronger and stronger every day. I am so grateful to the Lord. He has done so many miracles in my life.
God loves us, and He wants us well. It doesn't matter where you are, and it doesn't matter what case it is.
This is Healing Streams, where anything is possible.
You are in the presence of a miracle. You're in the place where grace abounds. This July, it's about to happen with you.